Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Maggie Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee requires balance.
Hey guys, welcome back to Work-Life Balance with Maggie and Kara.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Today we thought we'd talk to you about 2023 trends and what we've been seeing and maybe what we're predicting that's going to happen the last couple quarters of the year. And I don't know.
I thought this would be fun because we get asked these questions all the time.
Yeah, true.
But we've never really, I think we've stayed away from talking about our personal opinions on the podcast. But I think it's very true that controversial topics are more interesting and fun. So,
okay, I like it.
All right. Well, kick us off.
Okay, so, there's been a lot of different trends. Right now, we're seeing, I think the first-time home buyers are in full effect.
Yeah.
And, there's many reasons, obviously, that they usually are the leaders of the real estate market anyways. But I think we have so many different creative programs that are being offered that maybe they're just excited about it and they're not really focusing so much on the actual interest rate that's scaring a majority of investors and people that are already in the market.
Maybe just less competition too. Like 2 years ago, they weren't able to get in the market because they couldn't pay $100,000 over asking cash.
Correct.
So
yeah.
They've just had the opportunity to actually come into the market where they weren't for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I wasn't in the market before that. So what did you see before the craziness of like 2020, late 2019 into 2021? Like, was it all first-time home buyers? Was it?
No, I've always had, honestly, I never really worked a lot with first-time home buyers. That wasn't really my niche. Mine was the people that were moving up the ladder into different, you'd already done that and you moved into the next level. But I think because the rent has gotten so expensive around here and across the board nationally, right? But they just can't even, they're priced out of it. One, they can't find one.
For sure.
Or
it's a huge problem around here.
It's huge. And it's a perfect example. We had a client call, a Zillow call,
speaking of
this last weekend, and they were in town wanting to look for a rental, and there was nothing.
Couldn't find any.
Couldn't find one.
But they were like, oh my gosh, these photographers are great because online these rentals look amazing. And then you go and they're in these super ghetto areas and it's like not even safe. So they were like, I would just want to buy.
Well, and their rent was going to be what a mortgage payment looks like.
Yeah, they were like, it's not even worth it.
No.
I'd rather pay $200 more a month than be in something that I own.
Sure.
And especially now with all the incentives, like they got some closing costs covered too. So it's good.
And maybe we should talk about that too. Like just some of the incentives and the programs that we're seeing.
Warranties are back. We talked about that.
Yeah, first-time home buyers are going in with 0% down.
Yeah. Seen a lot of VA lately, actually.
We have seen a lot of VAs. There's all these buy downs where their interest rates don't get affected for 2 years.
The USDA. People are moving outside the city now, realizing that Nashville is outgrowing itself, kind of. So they're moving outside and using all these other programs that are really good too.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a good time to talk about what do you think those programs are going to do to the market in the future?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I mean, there is a part of me that's worried about it because I think when you give too many incentives like that, people don't have a lot of skin in the game and it's easy for them to walk away from a home or not make their payments. And then we have the foreclosure rate again. So that being said, I know we're in a different situation than we were in 2008. As far as 2008, we had so much inventory. And
we have none crazy. Right now.
We have none. I mean, I don't even know what the percentage is, comparatively speaking, from when. So there are different factors and obviously inflation, but I worry about it because, you go in with 0% down, or you have let's use the 2-1 buy down, for example. Yeah. You're going in at a 4% interest rate right now. Next year,
only thinking about right
now, and that mortgage payment. So let's call it $4,000 a month. And then next year it goes up to 5%. Let's call it $6,000 a month, whatever. It's
crazy,
And then you top out at 7, and they're no longer you can afford that.
No.
Or maybe your job's changed, or like life circumstances have come about,
and then you can barely afford 5, and now you're all the way up to 7. It's
absolutely
no, it's crazy.
This is sidebar, but this is Eva, my broker bitch best friend. She just told me her clients that she sold her home to. Never made a payment. They've been living in it for 3 years now, have not made one payment, and now she's trying to figure out how to short sell it for them to get them out of their scenario. They've never made one payment since they moved into that house. Yes. Is that crazy?
Oh my gosh.
So it's like,
but that's the thing. If you have no skin in the game, like if you didn't put any money in to begin with, I mean, barring thinking about your credit, I mean, some people just don't give a shit. Excuse my language, but
they don't.
They don't care.
They're like, well, we'll just rent.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, just move on.
Yeah.
Even though now rentals are hard to get into. There's people that, I mean, are damn near homeless and can't get into a rental because they've done one thing that messed up their credit score 5 years ago. Now you have to make 3 times your rent in Middle Tennessee to even qualify for an apartment. That's crazy.
Okay, well, if you can make 3 times your mortgage payment and your rental, and
you can afford to buy a house.
$2,000. That means you're making $6,000 a month. You should be able to afford a home.
Yeah, unless you're just super reckless with your money. Which no shame. But and if call Dave Ramsey or something. Well, and
if you have shitty credit, there's credit recovery that our lenders all help with. So there's ways, get out of that rat race of paying somebody else's mortgage. That is a trend that we have been watching. And thankfully, I think that because it's pushed them out, we're moving into now these first-time home buyers that are getting into the market. And it's exciting. For sure. They actually become homeowners.
You know, I read something the other day that said the average homeowner or first-time home buyer is like 30.
Wow.
That's high, I thought. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if that's just my personal perspective or bias on it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be much younger than that. More like 24, 25-ish.
I think I've read about that before, and I think a lot of it is those kids coming out of college.
Yeah.
They move back with their parents.
Saving money,
and they probably come out with a college debt. So they're trying to save money and get going, and then they decide to get into the home buying. But I mean,
you have the opposite side of that, kids that go home and then stay home.
I'm like, you're out. When you go to college, you're not moving back in.
18, I was out of there.
You're out of there. And look, you're 23 and you're a homeowner. I mean, I feel like that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that.
Don't baby your kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Just make them earn it.
But moving on, so something that's really crazy that Kara put on the board to talk about is how interest rates in the past year have nearly doubled.
2 years,
And it's been just like culture shock in our industry. I mean, it's just really hard to keep up with that amount of growth so quickly. Mm-hmm. So now that raises the question of what's that going to do to home prices?
Well, I think the national average, which is what she's speaking of, is so in July of 21, our interest rates were 3.6.
Yeah.
I mean,
some even lower.
I mean, I know there was people on the 2s. Mm-hmm. That was just unspoken of. Like, we haven't seen those. And I mean, not ever in my history of being in real estate, and not ever in my parents' history of being in real estate. It was crazy. And so the average now of July 23 is 6.95, but actually 7.05 is really where it's been the national average. So 2 times in 2 years, correct, we had a pandemic. That affected a lot of stuff, right?
It did.
But they are actually anticipating these rates going up to the 8% in the fourth quarter, and then seeing a little bit of a down back in the beginning of the year. Now, again, it's all predictions and assumptions, but
nobody really knows.
Like, you cannot, and we've said this, Maggie, you and I have said this so many times, if you want to get into the game, get into the game. Yeah. Do not just sit there and wait, because no one has a crystal ball.
No.
We have no idea. And if it gets up to 8%, that's a shit ton in mortgage payment.
It is. But I'll tell you what, I really feel like even though we've been seeing an increase in rates over the past few months, we've gotten busier as rates increase. I don't know if it's because more people feel like they can do it and just refinance later and just get into the market while sellers are willing to negotiate on things like they weren't. I don't know. I think it's worth it. I mean, shit, I did it. I can't say anything. You're still flipping houses right now at these high interest rates and all that.
And they're selling, I mean, oh God, don't even tell me about that one. These buyers just got in at a 9.5% interest rate.
That's insane.
So, crazy.
Let me tell you something that I heard the other day, though, that I thought was really good. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I'll have to get it out now. Yeah. So I was watching a TikTok, and it was talking about just the different trends that has happened over the past 20, 30 years. And all of these arguments, people going back and forth, like on a Twitter feed and in the comments and all kinds of stuff. And one guy had a comment that really stood out. And it was like, well, okay, if anybody can answer this, let me know. When has it ever been a bad time to own real estate?
Never.
Mm-hmm. And so people can sit here and talk about how crazy the interest rates are, but if you don't get in it, you're not in it.
No.
And you don't have the opportunity to gain anything if you're not.
I've so seen that. And I also saw the thing that, have you ever met a millionaire that doesn't own real estate?
No.
Because real estate is the for sure game. You can play that stock market all day long. I just don't understand it, so I just stay away from it. Our client, the day trader, I'd love to know how to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it infatuates the heck out of me. Like, you can make that much money in a day, or you can lose that much money in a day. I feel like buying investment properties, not only do you get the appreciation of the value of the home, but you also get some monthly income if you're using it as a rental. So no brainer.
Yeah.
Like, that's a win-win.
And I think it's definitely more of a long-term play for sure, because there's always things that are going to happen. You might have a pipe bust or HVAC go out, where all of the income that you have made off the property goes right back into it. But it's worth it if you hold it for a long time and get the overall appreciation. And
let me piggyback off that. So the way around that, all you investors listening, slap a home warranty on every single one of your rentals, because that HVAC is sure as hell going to come out. Your dishwasher is going to break. Fridge is going to go out. Yeah. That home warranty that's going to cost you $600 a year, and with a $80 service fee is going to cover all those major expenses.
Way worth it.
That is something I wish I would have started in the beginning of my investment career, but it is like, hands down, you should have a home warranty. If you don't, slap one on it. It's very simple.
For sure.
Yeah. And that will save you from all your money going back into replacing.
And they already have all of those service providers on call too. So all you have to do is call the warranty company, tell them what's going on, and they'll handle it.
It's a must if you own rentals.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay, talk about the daily, or not the daily.
Daily mail?
Yes, the average days on market.
Okay, so this is interesting, and this is something we'll have to touch on a lot, because depending on where you're at, I think in the price point is obviously changing what the average national days on the market is.
And your personal urgency to sell.
Yeah. So like the standard right now is this last month was 18 days was the national average on days on the market, which previous month was like 22. And I think March was like 30.
Yeah.
So depending, again, like I said, on your price point, Maggie and I have some buyers right now that are all in the 400 range, middle of the road range, and they're going off day one with multiple offers. So that's even we're seeing.
Even the 600, 700s.
Those are moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a trend that we're seeing right now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's because, actually, I don't really know. That's something I don't know.
Let's talk about that for a second too, and like the different trends about the price points, because we talked about that a little bit yesterday too. Like, yes, the 400 to 600 range, even worse, the 3 to 5 going like that.
Oh, yeah.
4 to 6 going like that. When you get to 6 to 8, it's a little bit slower, but they're still moving if you have a good product and you price correctly. But then I guess my assumption is because jumbo loan interest rates are higher and it's a lot harder to qualify for, not totally sure, but that would be my assumption on why that like 800 million plus range goes so much slower, and even more than that, like the 2 to 3 million range, even slower than that.
And those, not only are they days in the markets totally longer, but the price decreases right now are significant on all of the $1 million properties. So, we're just keeping an eye. We've got lots of clients in those price points, but they're not willing to jump in the game quite yet because they feel like they're going to drop, which again, we don't know. I mean, it's like we're watching it and they are moving down, but
you can't blame them either when you're spending that much. It's a lot easier to go out and say, oh yeah, I'll spend $400,000 on this home than it is to say I'll spend $2.5 million on this home,
At a 7% interest rate and a massive payment, right? Yeah. So, I don't know. It is interesting, but that is definitely the price reductions are huge right now. So that's another trend that we're seeing. And funny story though, because like our listing that we had this weekend, 3 offers, 2 with escalation clauses on them.
Yeah.
Which
one not contingent on appraisal.
Right. Which amazing. That's like the best offer you can possibly get.
We got 4 offers in 2 days.
Right. So that market's just flying.
It is.
So it's just.
Which they have a good product though. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have a great house on nearly an acre, 20 minutes from Nashville.
Yeah.
So, and right by the interstate in Smyrna. Like, you just can't beat that, first of all. But even these other houses, too, go like that. Mm-hmm. Multiple offers. But the one I'm talking about, even Last Cast, this is getting, like, huge hit right now, which is a little town outside of Murfreesboro, but it's rural, but there's a lot of really, really nice houses out there. Mm-hmm. There's a house that came on in like the 700s, hasn't even come active yet, and I called on it yesterday. The agent already has 12 people that have called him and 5 people that already have offers ready, but he's just not letting them send them until it's active.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and 700.
I told my buyers, I said, look, this is a beautiful house, but it's going to be a fight for it. I said, I'm here for it. Like, if you want to go for it, 100%. But I just want to let you know, like, this is the scenario you're in. You're probably going to have to pay over asking, and I don't know if you're prepared to do that. And you're going to have to go up against probably 5 other offers.
So that's like a total trend of what's happened last year. Now we're a multiple offer situation again.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I wish we had like the answer to why that's happening. But I mean, the only answer I have is people are still... The demand in Tennessee is still so high.
It is.
And it's not only because of political reasons. Like, people move here for that. I get it. But we are one of 6 states in the whole country that has no income tax. And one of 2 that don't collect on earned income. So that's not going to change. Yeah. So people are, like, so excited about that to get out of New York, Chicago, California. And they're like, well, yeah, not only are our political views great, but we don't have to pay so many damn taxes. Yeah, so for sure. I don't see Tennessee slowing down on the amount of people moving here.
I don't either. I really don't. Builders are not, in this area, I know builders like across the country are kind of slowing down just a little bit, but in this area, they're not. Especially, I see investors now starting to buy more, and we were talking about this places like Winchester and Tullahoma, some of these smaller towns that are an hour from Nashville.
Right.
So Tennessee has so much room to grow, and I don't think people really realize that. There are so many towns in just Middle Tennessee alone, not even East and West, that have not been tapped into at all, where a lot of especially some of the port cities on the Tennessee River and stuff like that are going to have some of these industrial companies move here from California, Chicago, Detroit, all these areas. So it's really not slowing down. More companies are moving here. That's why our renter people were moving here in the first place. So
well, and I think there's different areas of purchasing that you have here that you don't always have.
Yeah.
Like you said, rural. We have a lot of land. You want to be a farmer, you want to be a rancher, 100%. You have all that opportunity. You want to do multiple family, we've got lots of colleges.
Yeah.
Beautiful areas to buy multiple families. So there's different like avenues. You're not so stuck in like suburbia, midtown New York.
100%.
You know what I mean? So like, it's just a favorable place. And hello, it's gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. I just got back from Texas and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Nothing holds a candle to Tennessee. And to me, like, it's just beautiful. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my opinion on that one.
Her little spiel about Tennessee there for a second.
Let's talk about the new home construction, because we have sold, that I would say is definitely a trend of 2023. And we have sold a lot, I don't know if I would say a lot more, but maybe, what do you think? Average?
I think it's almost half and half.
Of new construction this year. And, which is awesome. But like, you had a good point. Why go buy a used house if it's the same price as a new construction?
Yeah.
I
mean, historically, we've kind of, and I was reading this the other day too, we've seen a trend of older homes being priced as older homes, right? And the new ones being priced as new homes. So they're a little bit more expensive on average. But now we're seeing pretty much new construction is on the same level as existing homes as far as price goes, per square foot. I think some of the nicer new construction where they're kind of adding in, more better detail. Touches, yeah, they're a little higher price per square foot, but they're kind of on the same page. And yeah, exactly. Why would you go buy a house that people have landed in and scuffed up the walls when you can have a new construction where they're going to let you blue tape it and make sure everything's perfect?
Yeah.
And have a warranty.
We get that builder's warranty. But I think, too, because of the lack of inventory, that the builders this past year have really, and I know...
They've capitalized on
I know firsthand, because you just talk to your banker and you say, hey, how many builders are coming in here for lines of credit, construction lines of credit? And Maya just told me we have a ton still pulling them. So that shows me on the first-hand side, they're the ones that you watch. 100%. And when the builders start slowing down, they kind of target what's going on in the future of the market, right? So if the builders are not slowing down, then you know that the market's not slowing down.
Yeah.
And so they're still pulling permits. They're still building because they're filling the void of low inventory.
They are.
We have nothing on the market.
No. And It's so crazy. I mean, I look at the hot sheets every single day and how little comes on the market, especially weekdays. Weekdays, you might, in a few towns, get, one or two new things on the market.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't been in this business for a super, super long time, so I don't know how it was before all the craziness and before interest rates were super, super high. But that just seems a very low amount of houses to come on the market to me.
Yeah. And not only those, you have ones that are coming off the market.
Yeah.
Because the sellers are going,
Canceled.
they're canceling them. So that's another thing you watch. For me, that's on my my What do you call it? Your first front page of the hot sheets. You have all the little
just your little widgets.
So that I can see every day. It's like, wow, there's some drastic statistics on what's happening with the market. Mm-hmm. So it's good to keep an eye on it.
But that's a good tip for agents too. Like if you're watching that, go after those canceled listings. Maybe they had a problem with their other realtor or something and it was
canceled, expired.
Yeah, it might have been a personal issue rather than a market issue. So you can capitalize on that.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
Speaking of capitalizing on that, I think builders really have, and I think lenders have capitalized on builders building so much. Because how many times do we see a lender partnered with a builder that's saying, oh, incentive this, incentive that, 3% here.
Right.
1% off.
If you use their preferred lender, you'll get this percentage. Yeah. Which is great. I mean, if you can go through that lender and get those incentives, hell yeah. No, I think just keep your eye on the builders. Yeah. Always watch the new construction. It literally leads the trends. What else are we seeing? What else are we seeing these days?
I think one thing I'm seeing right now, just as I put more offers in, I don't think the market is one way or another. I don't think it's a buyer's or a seller's market. One thing I see is it is all dependent on what seller you get. If the seller that if you're representing a buyer and the seller that you're trying to buy their house, if they have a mindset of 2021 and they're like, no, I'm getting this number for my house, they're not going to negotiate for shit.
Right.
But if you go to a house of sellers that, know some things are wrong with their house, but just need to move because they're moving out of state for their family, they're going to do everything to get their house sold. So I don't know. I just feel like
it's not a seller's market or a buyer's. It's kind of both right now.
I just don't feel like I can prepare my clients one way or the other for what's going to happen when we put in an offer because it's just dependent on the sellers, 100%.
Yeah.
Whereas used to, I could be like, okay, this is probably what's going to happen. Like, this is probably what they're going to come back at or whatever. Now you can't say anything because you have no idea.
I think you're right because, again, low inventory creates a seller's market, right? And then, but the sellers are also offering credits because they want to get out of, and I would say if you're selling your home, you're selling it for a specific reason. You're not selling it because you're getting top dollar right now. Our market is not where you're making a couple $100,000 equity in a year or two.
No.
We're not there. So you're selling because you're either relocating or you need to downsize or something because there's no reason you would leave a 3% interest rate to move into a 7% interest rate if you are a seller. No. There's no reason. So
unless you bought your house in the 80s, you've lived there forever, and
you've got no debt, like
and you can make a ton of money, but that's
circumstantial for sure. But otherwise, that brings us to the point of the HELOCs. So if you have a 3% interest rate, you're not going to sell your home, but you're sitting on a shit ton of equity. Mm-hmm. So the HELOCs are a big thing, right? The home equity line of credits.
Yep.
So they're pulling those. Yes, you're pulling them at a 7% interest or whatever they're quoting you. But you're charged on it as you use it. Yeah. So if you pull a couple $100,000 and maybe you want to do a kitchen reno, you take $50,000 of it. You're just paying on that $50,000.
Yeah.
You keep the other $150,000 in the bank and wait till maybe you want to put it down on a rental.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do something.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Maybe you want to use it for an investment property. So that's what we're seeing also with people that have a lot of equity in their home and don't want to sell that property.
I know some people are avoiding that too just because it is a high interest rate. If you want an easy way to get into the market and you're okay with a higher interest rate, then go for it.
I mean, you're going to get it anyways if you go take a loan. So it's just a way to basically double down on your investment.
100%.
So,
well, that's kind of what we're seeing. I mean, what can you think of anything else?
That's a lot of what we're seeing right now.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So as far as like what the future holds, I don't know, Max.
Who the hell knows?
I just know we're busy as hell, and we're just continuing to just keep moving forward, and hope y'all are too.
Yep.
And just work for your clients and just keep ahead of the trends.
Don't worry about the rates.
Don't worry about the rates. Just get in the market.
Don't lose sleep over it. Just do what you can do.
Just find your agents that can work for you. That's really the main thing. You got to have them work hard for you.
Well, those are just our trends. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right. Take care.
Insurance should never be a hurdle when purchasing a home. It's one of the most important purchases of your life and should be handled with proper care.
Whether that be your first home purchase or the next addition to your portfolio, reach out to the Sally Insurance Agency with Shelter Insurance for a free consultation so you are confident that you are protected when it matters the most.
Call Shay and Sally at 865-671-6451.